Ripple versus the SEC. Will it ever end? Are we doomed to watch these two behemoths do battle for all time? Or could this titanic struggle be nearing its conclusion? Back in September, it looked like the end could be in sight, and XRP pumped in anticipation of a win for Ripple & Co. XRP holders naturally got excited, while everyone else merely prayed that this saga might finally come to an end and we could all move on to worrying about something else. Well, surprise, surprise, the case drags on, but the wind certainly seems to be in Ripple's favour at the moment, and XRP has held up above 45 cents for the past week. So, what's the latest, and could Gary Gensler and his buddies at the SEC be on the verge of a trip to Loserville? Let's find out. Look at these happy little critters, enjoying themselves in the fresh air, full of life and vitality. Not a care in the world. You wouldn't want anything to happen to them, would you? Of course not. And if you like this video and subscribe to the channel, then nothing will. They'll be able to go on playing happily like this forever. All will be well. Like and subscribe, and the lambs will be just fine. Hey, look, it's a bear market. Times are tough, needs must, all right? Okay, now I'm going to assume that if you're watching this, you're familiar with the basics of what this case is all about. If not, pop over to our main channel, type Ripple SEC into the search bar and check out some of the videos that come up for a more detailed breakdown. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there. Now, let's go back to late September, which is when things started to perk up a bit. On the 23rd of September, it was reported that both Ripple and the SEC had filed for summary judgments in the case. That is, asking the judge to rule in their favour and dismiss the case before a trial got underway. Clearly, both parties were as bored with the whole business as the rest of us are. XRP duly pumped on the news that an end to the saga may in fact be in sight. Then, on the 29th of September, the judge overseeing the case ruled that the SEC must turn over a bunch of internal emails relating to a speech made back in 2018 by then SEC official Bill Hinman. If you've been keeping up with this story, you'll know that this by now famous speech is the one in which Bill referred to Ethereum's ETH as, quote, sufficiently decentralized, and therefore not a security. The reason why Ripple's lawyers were so keen to get their hands on these emails was because they believed that their contents might expose how the SEC was thinking about cryptocurrencies at the time Bill made his speech. If the theory goes, it can be shown that others at the SEC besides Bill also considered ETH not to be a security, along with their reasons for thinking so, then these reasons could also be applied to XRP to show that, back then, the folks at the SEC didn't consider it to be a security either. Now, you'll recall, I hope, that Ripple & Co.'s defense hinges on the idea of fair notice. That is, they weren't aware of the fact that the SEC could have viewed XRP as a security back when they began selling it, and thus can't reasonably be prosecuted for doing so. If the SEC can be proved to have considered XRP not to be a security back then, it would theoretically add weight to Ripple's argument that the regulations, such as they were, did not offer sufficient clarity, thereby implying a failure of duty on the SEC's part. If Ripple's assumption that other SEC officials shared Bill Hinman's view perhaps sounds a little, tenuous, well, that's what a number of legal experts also thought when Ripple was granted access to these supposedly incriminating emails back in late September. Nonetheless, XRP pumped 15% on the news, and the news was chalked up as a win for Ripple and, by extension, the wider crypto industry. Take that, Gary!
Great job, team. Head back to base for debriefing and cocktails.
By late October, Ripple's defense team had dug through the emails the SEC had reluctantly handed over and were in a bullish mood. General Counsel Stuart Alderoty tweeted about the document saying, quote, "While they remain confidential for now, at the SEC's insistence, I can say that it was well worth the fight to get them. I've always felt good about our legal arguments, and I feel even better now. I always felt bad about the SEC's tactics, and I feel even worse about them now." Ripple and its legal team clearly believe that they can win this case, though what exactly was found in those documents to support this view remains unknown. All of which takes us to now, early November, and it looks like the SEC's past treatment of other crypto companies is coming back to haunt it. That's because Coinbase has now filed an amicus brief in support of Ripple, adding its weight to a load of other such filings from the likes of the Blockchain Association and 75,000, yes, 75,000 XRP holders. Now, for those like myself unfamiliar with what an amicus brief is, here's a definition as provided by the Cambridge Dictionary. Quote, a legal document supplied to a court of law containing advice or information relating to a case from a person or organization that is not directly involved in the case. Basically, external but interested parties weighing in support of one side or another with information believed to be helpful to the case. Now, I'll link to Jeremy Hogan's recent video on amicus briefs below, and if Ripple versus the SEC is something you're interested in, then you should definitely subscribe to his channel, as well as this one, of course. Don't make me get the mint sauce out, whatever you do. It's also worth noting that Coinbase and the SEC have a fair bit of previous history when it comes to legal tussles. The exchange recently weighed in support of Grayscale's case against the SEC over the latter's rejection of the former's spot Bitcoin ETF application. This after the SEC sued Coinbase last year over its lend program. It does get a bit hard to keep track of all these lawsuits, doesn't it? Moral of the story, don't piss off Brian Armstrong, or Gary Gensler for that matter. So, the crypto community is rallying behind Ripple, and there appears to be a more than decent chance that they will prevail against Gary and the rest of the silly and evil collective. Now, as heartwarming as it is to see Team Crypto rally round Ripple in its hour of need, it's not hard to see the self-interest at play either. If Ripple wins this case, the whole crypto industry will be able to heave a sigh of relief and enjoy a reprieve while the SEC retreats to lick its wounds. If the SEC wins, however, well, crypto winter could be about to get a whole lot colder. While all the momentum appears to be with Ripple & Co. right now, this case could still drag on for some time. There's also the small matter of the SEC's case against Library, a much smaller crypto project that's also being sued for selling unregistered securities. Allegedly. Now, we've been waiting for a judgment in that case for a long time. And again, depending on which way it goes, it's either good or bad for Ripple and crypto by extension. If the SEC wins, it will have a legal precedent to strengthen its case against Ripple. If Library wins, then its victory could herald a similar one for Ripple, as the SEC will be denied a precedent. Now, the final briefs in the SEC versus Ripple will be filed in just under a fortnight's time, after which, in Jeremy Hogan's words, it will be, quote, just a waiting game. Jeremy appears confident that the amicus briefs could be the final nail in the SEC's coffin, but we'll just have to wait and see. The expectation seems to be for a ruling in the case before Christmas, and assuming it goes in Ripple's favour, that could just be the present the whole crypto industry needs at the end of a long, difficult year. So, come on, Santa. We've all been good, I promise.